This is part one to Let God Sort Him Out series. Um, the whole series is about how I discovered what happened in 2018 all the way until my current life at this point in time. So it could be ongoing. Um, and I don't know how many parts it's going to be, but there's going to be definitely more than one for sure, for sure, for sure. So it started in 2018. Favorite rapper at the time was not Pusha T, actually. It was Drake, unfortunately. And I woke up in the middle of the night. I didn't know anything about Pusha T. Uh, and it was awesome because I woke up in the middle of the night at like exactly when I wake up, it's normally not like 7 on the dot, 8 on the dot, but it was like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. exactly. And it really felt weird because like I had woke up and I didn't know how I went to sleep. Um, I didn't know that I even fell asleep, but I woke up and it was the middle of the night. And I was like, what's like? I looked at the time. I was like, one exactly. What's going on? Like I stared at it so much or so long that it turned 101 or 201 or whatever. So that's interesting because it never happens. So I woke up. It was either 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and I opened social media for whatever reason. I mean, I'm always on social media, but I kept seeing videos. I forgot. I think it was Instagram. I had opened first, and I didn't see like enough. I just immediately went to check it out. Pusha T, my favorite rapper right now, favorite artist, one half of the Clips, previously known as Terrence the Terra. Um, he was in a beef, like a rap beef, with my favorite rapper at the time, Drake. So I just saw some like headlines and like and like reading comments. I didn't know any details really because I was like just catching like what beef like who's gonna come at Drake. Drake is the biggest, whatever at the time. Now I hate Drake, but I was like Drake, that's my guy, like he's my favorite rapper, whatever. So I just immediately get a little bit of information. I think I watched like a complex or like a genius video of like the back and forth saying like, oh, Pusha T fired back. At first it started with this track called Infrared off of Pusha T's album that had just released, because at this point in time, it was May 30th or May 31st. I won't say May 31st because it was 1 a.m. So it was May 31st at 1 a.m. And there was already reaction videos and stuff. So I had listened to the tracks at first, but the way I heard it was different. So I heard not the full album by Pusha T. I just heard the last song where they said he had gotten at Drake, or there was like a bar at Drake or whatever. Heard that. Then I heard the Duppy freestyle. So I listened to Infrared, then Duppy freestyle, which was Drake's response. Then I heard the story of Adidon, which was Pusha T's response. I didn't know that was going to be the end of the beef. So this is how I discovered what was going on. Woke up at 1 a.m., saw some headlines, listened to it on SoundCloud. Went to SoundCloud because at that time I was listening to SoundCloud because this song Wonderful by Travis Scott and The Weeknd had hit like 100 million streams or something. So I'd been on Wonderful, um, or I had been on SoundCloud for a while, listening to that song, listening to like, there was a version of Crisscross by Chris Brown, like a full longer version that I was like I could only hear on SoundCloud. So I was into SoundCloud at the time. So for whatever reason, SoundCloud, when you play something, the artwork is super zoomed in. So when I heard Infrared, super zoomed in, I was just listening. When I heard the Duppy freestyle, didn't see the artwork, I was just listening because it was so zoomed in. I didn't know what it was. I didn't hear this on YouTube where everyone was reacting to it. So when I heard Story of Adidon, it was also on SoundCloud, zoomed in. So any of the artwork, I was really just focused on the music and what was being said. It was really more of a I don't know if it's stripped down or focus experience, but it wasn't accompanied with the whole packaging as when you get an album and you receive it, or like kind of like a trailer before you see the movie. The artwork as you're listening to the song or the album, it wasn't that. It was just like, okay, I'm listening, I'm listening, I'm listening, and I only heard it once the way through for all 3 songs. So after that, I'm like, okay, let's go to YouTube, which is my favorite social media app, and I'm trying to see if there's any reaction videos. I normally don't listen to reaction videos about music, but this was about Drake, my favorite rapper at the time, my favorite artist at the time, I'll say. And it was about a beef that he was in. And the only other one I had remembered was the Meek Mill back and forth. So this was my first time catching it in real time. The Meek Mill back and forth, I didn't really catch it in real time. Like this, I felt like I caught on in real time. Even though I didn't know anything about Pusha T, I knew about Meek Mill and Drake, those artists, but I didn't know anything about Pusha T, knew nothing about the clips at the time. So this is like probably 2 a.m. at this point. Heard all the songs, now I'm watching reaction videos. Don't know the first reaction video, but I could probably remember every single reaction video at this point. So I'm not going to name specific channels. Man, I will say what I noticed. So when I was watching reaction videos, every age group, every age range was reacting, from old heads to people my age now, like around my age, like in their 30s, late 20s, to people that are in their teens or younger. Different races, different genders. And I was so entrenched into what was going on in their reactions and what was said that I was learning way, way, way more information than I've ever. It was like what a parent would want you or a teacher would want you to research, like put effort into research. Like people always say, like, or your parents, specifically black parents, always be like, if you knew those lyrics or those songs as well as you knew your home, like, well, I'm not gonna be disrespectful, but I'm sure if what do you call it, vegetables and healthy food tasted better, you'd be eating more of that too, right? Like when you use logic against someone who don't want you to use logic, it's always a problem. I digress. So I was literally enjoying at first. It was just fun. And then it got like, whoa, this is what I want to do. So I was just really into the reaction videos and seeing how people felt and reacted. Now, I can say these reaction videos did introduce the other element that I was missing when I first heard the 3 songs, which was the cover art. Because they would talk about the cover art of Pusha T's album, Daytona, which is my favorite Pusha T album to this day, because of how I discovered Pusha T. So it's always going to be special to me. And the music got even more powerful when I listened to the whole album, but I'm skipping ahead. So let's stay on track. Hearing or watching the reaction videos, I was able to see the artwork of the album that Infrared was on, which was the first quote unquote shot that made Drake, give him a full diss track response. And the artwork was really interesting because I'd never heard of Pusha T and his face wasn't on it. There was no flashy like cars, like traditional rapper stuff, It was like, it looked like abstract, like art to me. I didn't really have an opinion on it. Again, because I heard the song already. So seeing that after I heard the song mixed with how people reacting, it was just, I didn't have time to process. So I was just trying to process in the first video. Then they were talking about the art with Drake's response, W Freestyle. And that was like the flashy, it was like a championship ring or whatever. Diamonds and everything shining. So I was like, okay. But even still, Drake wasn't on it. It wasn't, what's the word? I don't think I've ever heard a direct diss track besides like Back to Back. And I guess Back to Back had like white people in like the stands as like fans, like at a baseball game or something. So it was a step up in terms of artwork, I would say, for Drake with the diss track. I will give him that. But then you go to Story of Adidon. Now, I heard Story of Adidon, and out of all 3 diss tracks, I thought that was the most scathing. It was the most memorable at the time when I had first heard all 3 without seeing the artwork and watching no reaction videos. I was like, bro, I see why some of the comments was like, oh, he murdered, he killed, like Drake is done, whatever. But seeing the artwork, I was staring at it for the longest time, trying to figure out like what was going on, like what is this? I didn't think it was fake. I'm gonna be honest, because a lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't think this is real." Blah blah blah. I didn't think it was fake, but I don't know if I thought it was Drake at first either. I will say that I didn't think it was fake, but I don't know if I remember if I thought it was immediately Drake at first. Um, but then the more reaction videos I saw, I quickly gathered that it was Drake because they would start saying like, "This is a real photo." They would talk about the content in the video. They would talk about, "Oh, people said Drake got him out of there until this song." You know what I mean? Like, it was very like, I wasn't there and I didn't know anything about, because I didn't follow Drake like that. I just liked his music. I didn't follow him on the gram like some of my female friends at the time did, um, going crazy over Champagne Poppy or whatever. But I really did not know about the infrared before this night, and I didn't know about Duppy Freestyle before this night. So what I had gathered, because the internet had changed drastically after Story of Adidon came out when I discovered it, but apparently there were memes saying like, "Oh, you know, you don't want to smoke with Drake" when Infrared came out, and then when when Infrared came out, then when Duppy Freestyle came out, people were like, "Oh, Drake got him out of there. Drake got him out of there." And even now, listening to those three songs, I mean, those are just Drake stans. You know what I mean? Like, because if Drake stans today listen to that, they realize there's no beef like after those back and forths, but they realize there's no beef for a reason. You know what I mean? So Drake stans really have no leg to stand on at this point, based off of those three tracks alone. But people were like, "Oh," making memes of like Pusha, with the Pusha Thanos. They were saying like he was fading away, like at the end of the Marvel movie Infinity War. But then right after Story of Adidon came out, Drake was fading away in the memes. You know what I mean? It was really like, I caught it at the very tail end, but as the tail end was like being the tail end. So it was, the timing was crazy. Especially, I feel like it was godly timing because of the rest of the series, how it's gonna play out. But so I'm watching the reaction videos. I'm finally able to see the artwork. I'm blown away by the artwork. Three times, four times, five times. I keep getting more and more information about what's happening. And what I have always had, I feel like, was like intuition. And I felt like a kind of chameleon in life because I've had to travel and move around so much. Not because I wanted to, I hate moving. But being able to see in real time the reactions of different age groups and different genders and races of how they reacted to certain lines. Because these lines in Infrared and Duppy Freestyle and in Story of Adidon were powerful. Drake and Duppy Freestyle was saying no malice. You have no malice in your heart, talking about his brother, talking about his fiance at the time. Now they're married with a beautiful child. Talking about Kanye West, now known as Ye, Christian billionaire Ye. Talking about Quentin Miller. Talking about Virgil. Drake was being very disrespectful in a diss track, diss song, You Should Be. But Story of Adidon was way calculated, as Pusha T puts it. And I think it shut Drake up, as it should have. I don't think you have any business talking about anybody's wife, especially if you don't know him. But I don't think you have any business regardless. But if you don't know him, like, Pusha T gave him mercy, graceful mercy. He was very tasteful, as Pusha T puts it. He was very tasteful. Pusha T was very tasteful. That's what he says. He puts it. Yes, very tasteful. So seeing the reactions of like how people would cringe, and when I say different races, there was black, white, biracial, Indian, Mexican or Latino, Asian, literally seeing the different genders. Because let's focus on the black race first. There was a video where I saw three black dudes reviewing, and one was clearly a Drake stan. The other two were very objective. They knew all of them knew about Pusha T though in the clips, because they were, I would say, around my age now, if not older. Like one was probably like early 30s. They were probably early 30s, all of them, but because they look really young, so late 20s, early 30s, and this specific video, they heard the songs first, and the Drake stan was going crazy over Drake, and they were all nodding their head. When Story of Adidon came, the Drake stan, they were still all nodding their head, but the Drake stan was not nodding his head. Like, it was just kind of like, it was like hurt. And I wasn't even hurt. When I say I'm a Drake, or when I say I was a Drake fan, because I'm no longer, I was a Drake fan, bro. when I was hearing this, I didn't feel any sympathy for Drake. I wasn't feeling bad for him. I didn't feel anything like that. I was just like questioning who could take down my favorite rapper. Let me watch another reaction video. Who could take down my favorite? Let me watch another. I wasn't researching Pusha T. I was just watching reaction video after reaction video after reaction video about the beef. Complex, Ebro in the Morning, Breakfast Club, like literally different YouTubers, different outlets, and it was just a wave of you don't have time to feel anything. You just have time to take in this information because it's a lot of information. So that's what I was doing. And eventually I would rewatch these videos, but I was just rewatching and rewatching and rewatching more and more and more and more videos, seeing the different reactions of lines black people would react to, afraid you weren't black enough, like because your fro wouldn't nap enough, very differently than biracial people, than white people, than Latino people, than Asian people, than Indian people, than like literally anybody. Same with age groups. If you were much younger, afraid, because like always thought you weren't black enough, before the fro wouldn't nap enough line, that like in between, it was always interesting to see how they prepared, whatever race or gender and age group, how they prepared for that punchline to come. Because I'm sure they're probably thinking like, oh, is it going to be scathing, or is it not going to be good, or is it going to be racist, is it going to make us look bad? Like, it was always like in preparation to see like how they anticipated what was about to come. And I knew these people didn't hear it before because of how soon it was coming out. A lot of times people like listen to a diss track months later, weeks later, sometimes years later. I've seen like people listening to this beef like a year ago, and like, I haven't heard it or whatever, but I heard about. I don't believe a lot of those things, even if it's true, just because of what made you come on so late. Because I would look to see how long the YouTube channel has been out, and I still have that question because I'm like, this you had this YouTube channel for a minute, and apparently you're a rap fan or a music fan. Like, what made you like, oh, it settled down, it settled, you know what I mean? Like, they were scared to touch it. I don't know about that. So a lot of things you just can't convince me of. So I was so convinced that these reactions were not only genuine, but like I was learning a lot of information, because you can't hide a lot of things like in the eyes. Like when you look at like a person's like how they move, their body language and stuff, facial expressions, there's a lot that you can't mask 100%. And that's what I was learning from a lot of these reaction videos, and it was teaching me a lot about, human nature and how people move, and, what this might, how this person might react to this, or what reaction this might get going too far and not far enough. It was teaching me a lot just based off of what I was feeling in these moments, regardless of how anybody watching this video feels. It was teaching me a lot. So if you want to end it there, the rest of the series is not going to be helpful. It's just going to be more and more of that. It was awesome seeing the different age groups, the different races react. Drake's stands were listening, pausing, butthurt, listening more, pausing, more butthurt, listening more, pausing. And at the end of their videos, they'd be like, well, Drake's going to come back. You don't want smoke. Drizzy, whatever. I could only imagine these type of people watching this video right now. Those Drake stans, I can only imagine what they're thinking right now. Because I wasn't thinking any of their thoughts. I wasn't trying to defend Drake. I didn't even want to. And that was my guy. But Pusha T is my God. You know what I mean? It's a big difference. So the switch there was not even like a forced switch. It was gradually like, and it wasn't even like against the grain. It wasn't hard for me to be like questioning, like, bro, I was just trying to figure out who Pusha T was after every video. Who is Pusha T? Who is Pusha T? So eventually I watched a bunch, and I got to a bunch of reaction videos, and Pusha T says there's not a lot of fans, especially compared to Drake, but there's not a lot of his fans out there, but his fans are loud. I wouldn't say I was a loud Drake fan, to be honest, but I definitely easily a loud Pusha T fan. And after watching a bunch of reaction videos, I could just keep talking about the reaction videos, but after watching a bunch of the reaction videos, I was like, okay. I came to a conclusion in my head. Pusha T beat Drake in a rap battle. I have no idea who Pusha T is. Let me listen to the album, because everyone in the reaction video was saying like, yo, this album, Daytona, fire album, by the way, but we're gonna get into the beef. Fire 7 songs, produced top to bottom by Kanye West, all killer, no filler. Like, it was straight flames. But let's get to this beef. I watched interviews of Pusha T before I listened to his album as well. So that also let me kind of know what type of like person, like how he talks, how he carries himself. There was a Breakfast Club interview where he had this white t-shirt on with the words that say prayer on it. It was like a 40-minute interview. And he was talking about the album. This was awesome because interviews after that, he had to keep talking. He felt like the album was more overshadowed by the beef, and he really didn't want to talk about that for real. Like, he was about to get married. He had bought 2 Ferraris. There was a lot going on that I felt like overshadowed my favorite album by Pusha T, which Everything Happens for a Reason. Still my favorite album. That's never gonna change. I love Daytona. He says it was his favorite, or it is his favorite Rolex watch. That's why the album was named Daytona. It was originally supposed to be named after him, King Push. He has a song named King Push, but the album came after the Prelude, and then this album was not supposed to be the Prelude. It was supposed to be titled King Push. He retitled it to Daytona because he feels that this album came from him having the luxury of time, which God does. So it was awesome. Now I was able to dive into his album after watching some interviews and a fuck ton of reaction videos about the beef. And once I got into the album, I already heard the last track, but I like listening to songs and albums while staring at the artwork. I've always liked that. I don't think it's weird because it came with it. That's like ordering something and you ask for, hey, leave out the onions, leave out the tomatoes. If it was like that as the order, like the stock version of a car, like I want what you intended for the public to have. I don't want to close my eyes unless like I've already experienced it the way you want it to experience. I'm not changing it yet. You know what I mean? So the artwork came with the album, so I'm listening to it on Apple Music this time, and which is my favorite music platform to listen to music. I tried to get Tidal, I tried to get Spotify, I tried to get Pandora, but I've always gone back to the Apple Music for whatever reason. So I'm listening to it, I'm seeing the artwork. I already heard the last song, but now I'm hearing it in order. So I'm assuming there's a build-up, which there was. Which there definitely was. So I'm hearing the first track of Daytona, If You Know, You Know. And like I said, I've heard the interviews. And he in that Breakfast Club interview, he was talking about the tracks as well. So if you know, you know. Bruh. I feel like I should put this in part 2 because I could talk about the whole album in like a part 2, but I'm going to try to make each video 30 minutes. If you know, you know. I love it. I guess I'll fast forward. When I heard all of the album, I heard it multiple times, and I realized he was God. I started like having so many emotions. It took me a while to just hear it all the way through. When I heard If You Know, You Know, which is the first track, I replayed it. And I was like, bro, I started having like suspicions. As a kid, this is me on my like younger era, living at my grandma's house. I had first saw the video of Jesus Walks by Kanye West, and as a kid, a young naive kid, that came out like 2004, so I was like 9. I literally thought, because like the halo and like the flickering light in the music video that he was standing under, he was dressed in all white. I literally thought he was Jesus. The song Jesus Walks, it just felt so godly and heavenly to me that I had that thought. And then I probably saw like the music video Mercy with Pusha T in it, but even though I thought the song was great, I didn't know anything about Pusha T, and I couldn't have said like, oh, that's Pusha T, that's 2 Chainz, that's Big Sean. You know what I mean? I couldn't have done that. So fast forward to now, knowing who Kanye West is, and knowing that he produced the whole album through these reaction videos and the interviews, I'm hearing the beat, the production is fire, the lyrics are fire, but the song starts off with the production not going full, what do you call it, like a faucet when you turn it on? It's like dripping. And then it goes full blast after like 8 bars or whatever. And Pusha T is on his, again, I've never, like outside of Mercy, I wouldn't have known who he was. So now knowing who he is, bruh, I'm a sucker for intro tracks, introduction tracks. The first song on a track, if it's fantastic, it could easily be my favorite song on an album. I'm a sucker for it. It's not guaranteed to be my favorite song on the album, but I will always go back for it back to it because it's how it sets the tone. It's how it starts off. Even from like, I don't want to give examples, but yes, it's how it starts off. So if you have a great intro track on any album, I'm a sucker for that. So how it starts off, man, I want to fast forward to like, cause this series is gonna be long. I want to fast forward to what I want to say, but I really don't want to. So the intro, he's rapping, and I had never heard nobody like. Oh, another thing I'm a sucker for when it comes to music. When they take the same rhyme scheme, like the freestyle of Ben's Given by Fabulous, and they take it and they go so far and it's fire. Sometimes it's the whole song, like a freestyle like Ben's Given by Fabulous. I love that too. I'm a sucker for that too because I'm like, that skill is admirable. I can look up to it. I can be inspired by it. It's ridiculous. So not only was the intro track like this, and the hook was great, and the production was great, but the bars never failed me, never let me down. Pulling up in that new toy, the wrist on that boy, rock star like Pink Floyd, waving that rude boy, I'm waving at you boy, ran off on the plug too like True Goy, imagine me do boy, you can never do what I do boy, still ducking shit that I did boy, niggas in Paris for hit boy, these ain't the same type of hits boy, shit can get litter than lit boy, you don't take these type of risks boy, cause this boy been throwing that D like Rich boy, you miss boy. Your numbers don't add up on the blow. That was 10 years ago. It was just ridiculous, bro. Like, and then the beat comes in after you hear If You Know, You Know. I was like, and I heard this on headphones, which is my favorite way to listen to it, either in the car on headphones or on loudspeakers. So I was able to hear it on headphones. The rush that I got was crazy. I don't know how long it took me to get to the second song, but the second song didn't help. It continued the wave. It increased the wave of the rush that I was feeling. But the first song, I felt like, okay, this has to be God, bro. Like, who's taking down Drake? And what I will say, because it's about to be 30 minutes, there was an interview that I had saw within it, because a lot of things have been deleted. Like Pusha T's artwork of the diss song had been taken down on Instagram, and he said this has never happened before. He said, I guess normally I keep it pretty clean because a lot of people say they've gotten videos and post deleted. Like I've gotten videos and post deleted. But if it's never happened to him before, that's something. But there was a video that had been taken down by this podcast named The Brilliant Idiots, featuring Andrew Schultz, Charlemagne the God, and they were literally talking about Drake. And Charlemagne was like, it seemed kind of panderish. Like when this song was coming out, because Drake had made a song called God's Plan, where in the video he was giving away like millions of dollars. He had made a song called like Nice for What, which I find racist. Like, nice for what for you niggas? Like, you gotta be nice for what for these niggas? Like, the fuck, who are you? You're not even all the way black. You telling, no. But Charlemagne the guy was like, it seemed like he was preparing for a scandal. He's giving away $1 million in a video. He's like he was, just in case something comes out. And then Andrew Schultz was like he's got like a bomb coming, like a baby on the way, like he's hiding something. And then the baby, this information comes out in the story of Adidon. So now it's just like, oh, but that interview, that video, it's nowhere to be found, bro. It's nowhere to be found. I would do a reaction video on that one. And I don't do reaction videos. That's how great it was. But come back for part 2. Probably gonna film a bunch of these and then upload them. All right, it's almost at 30. I'm gonna try to make it 30.